KPU ensures election materials will arrive on time, even in difficult-to-reach areas in various parts of the country. Head of UN agency UNRWA has no intention to resign following allegations that some staff members participated in the attack on October 7th. Jordanians welcomes national soccer team in Amman International Stadium after reaching the finals of 2023 Asian Cup Qatar. Hello, I'm Valerina Daniel and you're watching Focus Today on TVRI World live from Indonesia. Let's begin with our first report. KPU ensures election materials will arrive on time, even in difficult-to-reach areas in various parts of the country. Details are next in Road to Ballot. Chairman of KPU Hashim Ashari ensured election materials will arrive on time, even in difficult-to-reach areas in various parts of the country.
Chairman of KPU Hashim Ashari said there is still 1 day left to distribute election materials to reach the polling stations. He ensured the polling stations will have the required election materials before the election begins tomorrow. Hashim said that various methods are taken to distribute the election materials in difficult-to-reach areas, such as using speedboats or on foot. He said that for areas relatively far from the district capital or warehouse locations, the election materials are distributed by KPU personnel on foot because the areas could not be reached by vehicles.
The National Police will deploy at least 196,000 personnel in polling stations across the country to ensure safety and security of the presidential and legislative elections on February 14th or tomorrow.
Head of the Public Relations Divisions of the National Police, Inspector General Sandi Nugroho, said in Jakarta on Monday that hundreds of thousands of police personnel will be deployed ahead of voting day and work together with local polling stations officers. The National Police have also assigned high-ranking National Police officers from the level of Police Commissioner to 2-star generals to oversee voting at polling stations throughout the country, he said. Although hundreds of police personnel have been deployed, the police still need the support from the public and other stakeholders to maintain unity and security, especially during the elections.
Commander-in-Chief of TNI, General Agus Subianto, reaffirmed neutrality of TNI members in the presidential and legislative elections to be held tomorrow. Meanwhile, member of Bawaslu, Loli Suhenti, says the agency will closely monitor money politics practices ahead of the elections.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Indonesian military TNI, General Agus Subianto, has again reiterated the neutrality of TNI members during the presidential and legislative elections to be held nationwide tomorrow. Speaking after attending a ceremony for the preparation of security for elections at Halim Perdana Airport on Monday, General Agus warned that he would issue a strong punishment to active TNI members who are involved in political activities. General Agus also talked about the importance of all parties to closely watch the election process. He hoped that related parties such as General Election Commission or KPU and Election Supervisory Agency or Bawaslu would do their jobs properly and can monitor the potential of voting frauds. Meanwhile, Bawaslu member Loli Suhenti said at Bawaslu Building, Jakarta, the agency had conducted a patrol to control money politics ahead of the elections. Loli also called on the public to report to Bawaslu if they find manipulative practices, which usually grow a day before the election. She also encouraged the public to upload their findings in social media and send it to Bawaslu so that the agency would be able to check the violation.
The voting day of the 2024 general elections will be held tomorrow, February 14th. Stages of the 2024 elections have been carried out by the General Elections Commission, KPU. However, after the voting day, there are still election steps and schedules that need to be completed. Here are the details. KPU warned the public not to pay attention to the results of vote count, whether it be quick count or exit polls for the 2024 presidential election, which may circulate before the voting process for domestic election on February 14th is completed.
KPU Chairman Hashim Ashari said that on March 20th, his commission will announce the new president and vice president as well as leading political parties. Hashim conveyed this during a joint press conference at Foreign Affairs Ministry last week, saying that the election law mandates the KPU to announce the 2024 election results within 25 days after voting day. The ballot count caps of domestic and overseas elections will start after the voting day on February 14 has concluded in Indonesia. The overseas elections, which have started since February 5th, will carry out in 3 schemes. The first scheme is direct voting, with the voters coming to poll stations held at Indonesian embassies, consulate general offices, housing complex of embassy staff or schools. Second, voting by mail, with overseas election committees sending the ballots by mail and voters sending the ballots back, also by mail. Last but not least is the mobile ballot box, with the committees coming to the voters' offices, houses or gathering places to collect their votes. After all the ballots have been counted at the polling station levels, the result will be submitted to higher levels for regional and national recaps. The same process applies for the election in the homeland.
Vote counting is the process of counting ballot papers during the general election, which is carried out by a polling station working committee or KPPS. The following is information on the schedule and stages of vote counting for the 2024 election. The General Elections Commission certified 81 survey institutions, granting them the rights to hold quick count of the 2024 general elections.
The KPU has regulated that all survey institutions wanting to hold quick counts should be certified. The Commission has closed the registration for certification 30 days before the voting day, or January the 15th. As of February the 6th, a total of 83 institutions had submitted their request for certification to do election surveys, polls, and quick count of the 2024 elections. Of 83 institutions, 81 have received their certification, while the remaining 2 are still completing or revising the documents. According to KPU, the certification process on the institutions have followed the rules stipulated in Article 448, Law No. 7, year 2017 on general elections.
The General Elections Commission KPU will announce the ballot count recaps for both legislative and presidential elections held domestic and overseas on March 20th, or 35 days after the voting day.
KPU Chairman Hashim Ashari said that on March 20th, his commission will announce the new president and vice president as well as leading political parties. Hashim conveyed this during a joint press conference at Foreign Affairs Ministry last week, saying that the election law mandates the KPU to announce the 2024 election results within 25 days after voting day. The ballot count recaps of domestic and overseas elections will start after the voting day on February 14 has concluded in Indonesia. The overseas elections, which have started since February 5th, will carry out in 3 schemes. The first scheme is direct voting, with the voters coming to poll stations held at Indonesian embassies, consulate general offices, housing complex of embassy staff, or schools. Second, voting by mail, with overseas election committees sending the ballots by mail and voters sending the ballots back, also by mail. Last but not least is the mobile ballot box, with the committees coming to the voters' offices, houses, or gathering places to collect their votes. After all the ballots have been counted at the polling station levels, the result will be submitted to higher levels for regional and national recaps. The same process applies for the election in the homeland.
The government set the official schedule for the 2024 general elections as stipulated in the General Election Commission KPU Regulation PKPU, which have been approved by the House of Representatives, the Ministry of Home Affairs, KPU, the Election Supervisory Agency, Bawaslu, and the Elections Honorary Council, DKPP. Should there be a runoff, the PKPU has set an additional schedule for the second round of elections. The National Police stated elections held overseas for Indonesian diaspora had proceeded smoothly and peacefully. The overseas elections began earlier since last week in various countries.
Head of Security Maintenance Board of the National Police Commissioner General Fadil Imran told the press in Jakarta on Monday that elections process in foreign countries had been going well. Fadil, who also leads a national security operation for elections called Mantap Brata 2024, says Hong Kong and Taipei in Taiwan are 2 territories left where voting is yet to be done. He says that election in Hong Kong and Taipei will take place today and tomorrow. National police data shows that there are more than 1.75 million voters living in 128 countries, comprising about 750,000 men and 900,000 women. Meanwhile, the number of overseas polling stations, door-to-door ballot boxes, and postal ballots reached 3,059. The police has added 111 security personnel to secure elections in 7 countries and territories, namely Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, the Netherlands, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, and Australia. Malaysia has polling stations in 6 areas, while the rest are spread in 6 other countries. The 6 areas in Malaysia are Kuala Lumpur, Johor Bahru, Kinabalu, Tawau, Penang, and Kuching. Meanwhile, the other 6 are Singapore, Taipei, Hong Kong, Sydney, Jeddah, and Den Haag.
The General Elections Commission KPU is scheduled to conduct vote recapitulation for overseas elections on Wednesday. The elections held in foreign countries for Indonesian diaspora have been going on since last week and will end tomorrow.
KPU Commissioner Idham Holik said in Jakarta recently that the KPU Regulation Number 25 Year 2023 regulates schedule for overseas vote recapitulation. According to the regulation, the schedule is set on February 14 or tomorrow when domestic elections will take place. However, if the KPU is unable to complete the recap in one day, the process will be extended up to 12 hours without any break. The timeline is only set for votes gathered in regular polling stations and door-to-door ballot boxes. As for another method, namely postal ballot, the vote recap will only start on Thursday or February the 15th. Vote recap for postal ballot will be completed on February 22nd at the latest. Meanwhile, announcement for quick count results for overseas elections can only be done after the domestic one is fully completed on Wednesday. This is to ensure that there will be no influence towards domestic voters who have yet to cast their vote.
Nusantara Capital Authority confirmed the 2024 elections on February 14 will not hamper IKN development progress.
IKN Security of Jakarta Santos said the election will not stop construction works at IKN because the polling station for 304 additional voters are located outside of the government centre called Zone KIPP. The 304 additional voters will cast their votes in 2 poll stations, with 187 voters registered at poll station number 901 and 117 voters at polling station number 902. IKN has also asked the companies to accommodate the workers to exercise their political rights on February 14th. Meanwhile, North Penajam Pasir KPU head Irawan Shahwana has ensured that all workers at IKN construction site will be able to vote in the 2024 election. He said that he has coordinated with various companies in IKN to accommodate the workers during the voting day.
We'll be back with more news. Stay with us on Focus Today.
millions of tons of waste that will continue to be buried will actually create problems for the environment. Who would have thought that organic waste from households can still be managed into a feed with high protein value and opens up great opportunities for export abroad? Stay tuned for the day journey on the potential land.
Welcome back on Focus Today. Felipe Lazzarini, head of the United Nations agency UNRWA, said he had no intention to resign following allegations that some staff members participated in the attack of October 7th.
Felipe Lazzarini has stated that he has no intention to resign, despite calls from one government for it, and will continue to make a difference. Lazzarini also warns of a significant cash flow crisis due to the $82 million commission contribution expected in March, requiring at least $60 million monthly for staff salaries.
The commission contribution is absolutely critical, because it's $82 million expected beginning of March. If we would have had no pause or freeze of funding, our cash flow would have been good until the end of July. Our cash flow will suffer as from now, as from the month of March. It will be negative, expected negative 30 to 40 million in March, but then it will be significantly negative as from April, and basically just to cover salaries of 30,000 staff across the region, we need at minimum 60 million just per month to process the salaries.
The UN agency provides aid to Palestinians in Gaza, and since the allegations were made, a number of donor countries have suspended funding. During the press conference with UNRWA chief, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell made a thinly veiled call for the US to rethink its military aid to Israel due to the high number of civilian casualties in the war in Gaza.
The head of the United Nations agency UNRWA, Felipe Lazzarini, has the full support of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, UN spokesman Stefan Dujarric said.
Stefan Dujarric stated on Monday that Felipe Lazzarini is still with full support from the UN.
The Commissioner General is appointed by the Secretary General in consultation with the General Assembly, and Mr. Lazzarini continues to have the full backing of the Secretary General.
So he still has the confidence. Dujarric also emphasized the importance of respecting international law and civilian protection in Gaza, stating that there is no safe place to live and the situation remains challenging due to unexploded ordnances and lack of shelter. The UN agency provides aid to Palestinians in Gaza, and since the allegations were made, a number of donor countries have suspended funding. UNRWA has launched an investigation and dismissed staff accused of involvement in the attack.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights released a statement calling for an immediate ceasefire.
Reading from a prepared statement, OHCHR spokesperson Ravina Shamdasani expressed deep concern about a potential ground incursion by Israeli forces in the southern Gaza city of Rafah and urged all those with influence to work towards a political solution.
A potential full-fledged military incursion into Rafah, where some 1.5 million Palestinians are packed against the Egyptian border with nowhere further to flee, is terrifying. An extremely high number of civilians, mostly women and children, will likely be killed or injured. We have warned against actions violating the laws of war. The prospect of such an operation into Rafah risks further atrocity crimes. The world must not allow this to happen. Those with influence must restrain rather than enable. There must be an immediate ceasefire. All remaining hostages must be released, and there must be renewed collective resolve to reach a political solution.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has said 4 Hamas battalions were in Rafah and that Israel could not achieve its goal of eliminating the Islamist militants while they remained there. Civilians should be evacuated from the combat zone, it said. Israel denies committing atrocities in its attacks on Gaza, which followed the Hamas cross-border raid on southern Israel on October 7th, in which 1,200 Israelis were killed and around 240 were taken hostage, according to Israeli tallies.
International Criminal Court prosecutor Karim Khan said that he was deeply concerned by the reported bombardment and potential ground incursion by Israeli forces in Rafah.
In an interview with Reuters, Khan reiterated that the ICC was actively investigating any crimes allegedly committed in Gaza and said that those who are in breach of the law will be held accountable.
I've made it clear that I have real concern over the reports coming out of Rafah, the possibility of further ground incursions by Israeli troops, the reported bombardments, and the reality that the laws of war must be respected. They can't be rendered hollow. They can't be interpreted so as to void them of meaning or to dilute or eviscerate any protective purpose that the Geneva Conventions and the law provides the most vulnerable children, women, people that are sick, or civilians.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has said 4 Hamas battalions are in Rafah, where hundreds of thousands of people displaced by violence further north are trapped in desperate conditions. It says Israel cannot achieve its goal of eliminating Hamas while they remain there. Civilians should be evacuated from the combat zone, it said. Israel is not a member of the Hague-based court and does not recognize its jurisdiction. But Khan in October stressed his court has jurisdiction over any potential war crimes carried out by Hamas in Israel and by Israelis in the Gaza Strip.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas arrived in Doha to meet Qatar's emir, whose country has been at the heart of the mediation efforts and host political leaders of militant group Hamas. Meanwhile, Dutch Prime Minister met with Palestinian Prime Minister in Ramallah, where they both stressed fears that an Israeli operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah would deepen a humanitarian crisis.
The Palestinian ambassador to Qatar, Munir Ghanem, told Voice of Palestine Radio on Sunday that Abbas and the Emir would discuss efforts to secure a Gaza ceasefire with Israel and ways to increase and for the territory's 2.3 million people. Qatar hosts the head of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, as well as another senior leader in the group, Khalid Mashal, who handled diaspora affairs in the Hamas political office. Abbas's authority has largely been reduced to the Israeli-occupied West Bank, which is larger than Gaza, but which is also fractured by Israeli settlements. Meantime, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte met with his Palestinian counterpart Mohammed Shtayyeh in Ramallah. Rutte also said that his government should be the one to decide on foreign policy issues, not the court, after a Dutch appeals court said it had blocked the export of F-35 fighter jet parts to Israel over a clear risk of violations of international humanitarian law in Gaza. However, the government said it would appeal. Rutte added that he believes that humanitarian aid to Gaza should massively increase 4 months after Hamas militants attacked Israeli border communities on October 7, killing 1,200 people and kidnapping some 240 others, mostly civilians.
An immense plume of thick smoke and flames filled the sky of the Peruvian capital on Monday after an ironmongery business with chemical products blew up. The accident took place in the San Miguel municipality in Lima, in business premises that work as ironmongery and that contain chemical products, local media reported. At least 5 people were injured, Civil Protection informed. Firefighters work at the site to put out the flames. The causes of the blast are still under investigation. Eyewitness video showed hail and rain in the United Arab Emirates. One man in Al Ain said the scene, which showed giant pieces of hail on the ground, made him think he was in Georgia rather than the UAE. Abu Dhabi police posted on social media saying people could get a certificate detailing the amount of weather damage to their vehicles in Abu Dhabi, Al Ain, and Al Dhafra. A fast-moving winter storm was expected to hit the U.S. Northeast early on Tuesday, possibly dumping as much as 8 inches of snow on New York City before moving north later in the day.
In New York, temperatures were not expected to dip much below freezing, raising the prospect of heavy and wet snow that is difficult to shovel off sidewalks and plow off roadways. New York City public schools closed on Tuesday, with classes held remotely for more than 900,000 students in the nation's largest school district.
The current forecast calls for light rain beginning around midnight and transitioning to snow tomorrow morning. We expect at least 5 to 8 inches now. We could get more. As the forecasts continue to shift, we will continue to notify New Yorkers. It's going to be low visibility, high wind gusts, ending by early afternoon. As well as up to 2 feet of coastal flooding along vulnerable shorelines. We're taking this storm extremely serious.
The city also issued a travel advisory asking residents to stay off the roads so snowplows can keep them clear. Strong winds up to 40 miles per hour and coastal flooding were also forecast along the New England coast as well as the Jersey Shore and Long Island.
A drone flies low over a snow-covered shipyard in Russia's Far East, where workers toil in sub-zero temperatures to maintain the hulking vessels during the bitter Siberian winter.
The process of vymorozka, which roughly translates as freezing out, is back-breaking and tedious work that takes weeks in some of the world's harshest conditions, with temperatures dropping to minus 50 degrees Celsius. Workers chip away at the ice encasing the ships, looking for areas in need of repair. The vessels are docked in the harbor of Yakutsk on the banks of the Lena River, Siberia's economic lifeblood in summer during the winter months. Locals in Yakutia, Russia's largest republic of landmass, name vymorozka as one of the hardest jobs in the world, but the workers themselves say it's all a matter of perspective. The work requires not only stamina and strength, but also extreme precision. The laborers must be sure not to cut the ice too quickly and break through the water below. If they do, the carved dugout can be submerged and the work is lost. The colder the weather, the better the ice freezes and the smoother the job, although the temperatures are hard on some workers.
Stay with us on Focus today. We'll be back after the break.
Hi, I'm Devini Hermawan. I will tell you why you should taste gado-gado as one of the most iconic Indonesian cuisine. So, just like any other salad with dressing, the dressing itself takes the major part to make gado-gado really delicious. Here it is, rendang. So just put, this is the white pepper, shallots in, as well as the beef. This is our rendang. Now we can assemble them into a beautiful bowl of soto ayam Lamongan. A simple but special perkedel kentang. The flavor is really intense.
Indonesian flavor with Chef Devina. Every Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Western Indonesia time.
That's all for today's edition. Indonesia has different culinary flavors and I will be back with another authentic menu. See you and goodbye.
Millions of tons of waste that will continue to be buried will actually create problems for the environment. Who would have thought that organic waste from households can still be managed into a feed with high protein value and opens up great opportunities for export abroad? Stay tuned for the day journey on the potential land.
Thank you for staying with us on Focus today. Flower farmers in Colombia work non-stop in the run-up to Valentine's Day to meet United States export demands for one of the industry's busiest and most important days of the year.
The Plazoleta Flowers Floriculture Company employees, northwest of Bogota, were hard at work, picking and packing lilies, carnations, and hydrangeas ahead of this week's holiday. Valentine's Day is one of the biggest holidays for Colombian farmers. To meet the demand, the companies start flower production 6 months before the big date. According to the Colombian Associations of Flower Exporters, between January and February 2023, Colombia exported 52,000 tons of cut flowers for these celebrations.
Yoga enthusiasts in India's capital, New Delhi, got an extra dosage of puppy cuteness during their yoga class ahead of this year's Valentine's Day.
Pause and Poses, which specializes in yoga sessions paired with dogs across India, held a Valentine's Day theme course featuring 11 rescue puppies, including golden retrievers and a Shih Tzu, which are all up for adoption. The session lasted for about an hour and was open to couples and singles alike.
Valentine's all about love, and the best way to show love is to bring someone who can give it back to you in the most truest form. So I'm so happy that they could be part of this.
It's my first time and I think I found my perfect Valentine because it's Valentine's week.
And to do it around Valentine's Day, we actually wanted to put together something special for couples, friends, anyone that you're celebrating Valentine's Day with. You just come together, share a few good moments.
While some hardline Hindu group protests against celebrations of Saint Valentine's Day in India, calling them immoral and a corruption of the country's ancient civilization, the year's most romantic day has become increasingly popular, especially in urban areas led by retailers who had jumped onto the bandwagon.
The 2024 Spring Festival Gala, produced by the China Media Group, has garnered unprecedented attention from overseas audiences, setting new records in international dissemination and serving as a captivating showcase of Chinese culture.
Premiering on the eve of the Chinese New Year, the gala captivated viewers worldwide with over 3,285 public screens in 90 cities across 6 continents broadcasting the event. Collaborating with over 2,300 media outlets from nearly 200 countries and regions. Multilingual reports on the gala garnered an outstanding 1.142 billion overseas views, while related videos amassed 331 million views. CGTN's Lung Year Lung Dance Challenge has also been trending on social media platforms, with people from 68 countries and regions getting involved. The topic related to the event was viewed 645 million times on social media channels. Recognized by the Guinness World Records as the world's most watched annual national TV program, the hours-long television extravaganza attracts over 1 billion viewers every year.
Tibetan people in China celebrated the Tibetan New Year with various traditional rituals to make New Year's wishes for the coming 12 months.
The Tibetan New Year or Losar coincides with the Chinese Lunar New Year or the Spring Festival, which fell on the February 10th this year. Kanding, the capital city of Garzei Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture in the southwest China, Sichuan province, is the second largest Tibetan settlement area. Since the ancient time, the city has been highly diverse land, populated by different ethnic groups, including the Han, Tibetan, and Ye people, making the local customs and traditions for the Tibetan New Year's Eve also very special. The mountain nearby provide the major source of drinking water for residents of Kanding. On the first day of Tibetan New Year, fetching the mountain spring water for good luck is still part of the local tradition.
Italians in the northern city of Ivrea mark Carnival with the annual Battle of the Oranges, a spectacular citrus class where revelers aim at each other in a time-honored fruit throwing skirmish. Meanwhile, dozens of teams took part in a festival in Russia's Tatarstan Republic.
Teams dressed in brightly colored costumes bombarded each other with juicy oranges from Sicily, leaving the town's cobbled street covered in a thick carpet of mashed orange pulp. Oranges replaced beans in a carnival battle in the middle of the 19th century. The orange throwing battle, with participants divided between nobles and commoners, recalls Violetta's insurrections against the tyrant, with the oranges symbolizing the tyrant's head. The battle was transformed into a spectacular event after World War II, by that time representing the fight for liberty and the symbol of the Ivrea Carnival. And from Russia, they came in all shapes and sizes. There was a giant swan, 2 huge chickens, even a hut. As the competition progressed, the pressure was on and the sledges got bigger and crazier. The contest: who can make the best good-looking homemade sled that will survive a steep giant ramp. For much of Saturday, visitors to the festival were entertained by the various teams sliding and crashing down the ramp. 2 teams shared the top prize of $330 or 30,000 rubles. The town musicians of Bremen and the White Angels of War, that features 2 nurses and 2 wounded soldiers on a white sledge.
Deputies from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office were called to a Tampa apartment complex. A resident reported a kangaroo on the loose. Meanwhile, an elephant was chased by residents of a South African village on Saturday after it escaped from Kruger National Park.
Do you need police, fire, or medical?
The sheriff's office posted on social media about the unusual situation, sharing a video where a perplexed 911 caller reported the kangaroo's presence in the apartment complex pool area. Aerial footage from a police helicopter of the scene captured the kangaroo hopping around the pool, a sight not commonly seen even in Florida. While kangaroos are native to Australia, certain wildlife can be owned as pets in Florida with appropriate permits. Meanwhile, an elephant was chased by residents of a South African village on Saturday after it escaped from Kruger National Park. Video posted on social media showed people chasing and throwing objects at the elephant as a helicopter hovered overhead. Local media reported the elephant was put down by authorities. Meanwhile, Ukraine's Kiev Zoo on Friday received food donations from Germany to help keep their animals alive through the winter and feed newborn baby animals in the spring. German and Austrian zoos, including the 2 Berlin zoos as well as Austrian zoos, Tierpark Schönbrunn and Alpenzoo Innsbruck, donated a total of 25 tons of dry animal feed, and video footage showed a truckload of feed leaving Tierpark Berlin earlier in the week and arriving in the snow at Kiev Zoo in the Ukrainian capital.
Jordanians welcomed national soccer team in the Amman International Stadium after reaching finals of 2023 Asian Cup Qatar. Details are next in our sports highlights. Jordanians welcomed their national soccer team in the Amman International Stadium after the historic achievement of reaching the final match of the 2023 Asian Cup Qatar.
Thousands gathered to celebrate and cheer the Nashama player, the nickname for Jordanian football team, during a ceremony ending with fireworks. On Saturday, Jordan played a game against Qatar in the Asian Cup in a game that ended in defeat for Jordan. Qatar successfully defended their Asian Cup crown after beating Jordan 3-1 at Lusail Stadium when Akram Afif converted 3 penalties as the hosts won their second continental title. Jordan were playing in their first Asian Cup final and seeking a first major trophy. But it was Qatar who prevailed in 86,492 fans, including Qatar's ruler Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani and FIFA President Gianni Infantino.
Real Madrid's injury crisis will add extra motivations for their Champions League last 16 first leg tie at RB Leipzig.
Madrid, who lead the La Liga table after one defeat in 24 league matches, head-to-head with the Bundesliga side with plenty of injury problems. Midfielder Jude Bellingham is the latest blow after diagnosed with a sprain in his left ankle. The 20-year-old England international has had a stunning season since his €103 million move to the Santiago Bernabeu from Borussia Dortmund in June and had scored 4 goals in 5 Champions League matches. Goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois and defender Eder Militao and David Alaba are long-term absentees with knee ligament injuries. But Ancelotti is confident Real can overcome this setback.
Manchester City continue the defense of their Champions League title with a trip to Denmark on Tuesday, where they take on FC Copenhagen in the first leg of the round of 16.
City have made it to at least last 4 of the competition in each of last 3 years, finishing runner-up in 2021 and semi-finalists in 2022 before lifting club's first Champions League title in 2023. Prior to that, Pep Guardiola had failed to take the citizens past quarter-final stage in each of his first 4 seasons in Manchester. Commenting on his round of 16 opponents in press conference, Guardiola was full of praise for the Danish champion, who qualified for the knockout stage together with 6-time winners Bayern Munich at the expense of City's crosstown rivals Manchester United in a group which also included Turkish Super League champions Galatasaray.
Briton Adam Peaty's hopes of a confidence-boosting win in the 100 meters breaststroke were dashed on Monday as the Olympic champion was forced to settle for bronze behind American winner Nick Fink at the World Aquatics Championships. On the comeback trail after taking a mental health break last year, world record holder Peaty qualified fastest for the final at the Aspire Dome with a time of 58.60 seconds, but was half a second slower with the title on the line. Veteran Fink, meanwhile, bravely fended off Peaty and Italian runner-up Niccolò Martineghi to win in 58.57 seconds. Fink said he never could have imagined winning a world championship gold at his age. It was the first gold medal for the U.S. at the championships, which began on February 2nd. Later on Monday, American Kate Douglas made it 2 golds for the U.S., who moved up to 4th in the medals table. Some of the world's best and most daring mountain bikers gathered in the picturesque Stellenbosch region of South Africa as the 2024 Dark Fest took place.
One of the highlights of the event was the United Kingdom's Tom Easted successfully landing his 2023 world record for the longest dirt-to-dirt backflip over the 110-feet jump on his first attempt. That meant he was sealed the record for another year in 2024. It was the 7th edition of the event in the Furberg Mountains and the favorite of the global freeride MTB community.
And that ends today's news on Focus Today. I'm Valerina Daniel. Thanks for watching and goodbye.
Located in East Java with cold highland temperatures, the city of Malang is called as the Paris of East Java. This city has such a historical significance and also culinary delights. And just like a gem, this city needs to be maintained and preserved. So, this is Malang City. Welcome to Taste and Culture. I'm Jovita Karen and I dare you to come.
One of the traditional dances in Indonesia that is quite unique is the Malangan dance. This dance is still being a performing arts heritage that is still rooted and sustainable in Malang, East Java. The Malangan Topeng dance is a sacred dance that previously implied 3 stories, called Panji, Lakon Mena, and Lakon Purwa. As time goes by, the art of Topeng dance has become a dance culture full of meaning and the sacredness is maintained.
Kulon Wun.
Monggo.
Halo Mbah, apa kabar?
Baik.
Mbah, barusan aku ngeliat tariannya. Itu namanya tarian apa ya?
Oh, itu tarian topeng Malangan.
Itu berarti khas Malang?
Boleh dikatakan demikian. Karena sejak Kerajaan Singosari, topeng ini sudah berkembang.
Awalnya tuh bisa gimana ada tarian ini, Mbah?
Iya, kalau dahulu kala ini dimainkan oleh orang-orang bangsawan. Makanya mereka karena orang bangsawan tidak ingin wajahnya itu terlihat. Sehingga dia memakai topeng. Nah, di dalam tarian-tarian topeng ini ada 2 karakter. Karakter Jawa dan karakter Sabrang.
Oh, terus itu perbedaannya antara keduanya itu apa?
Perbedaannya kalau Jawa itu halus, kalau Sabrang itu gagah. Dan diibaratkan kalau Jawa itu adalah pemilik negeri. Kalau Sabrang ini dari luar. Dan banyak arti filosof di topeng Malang. Jadi misalnya di topeng itu ada sunggingan yang menggambarkan bunga, terus demikian juga sulur-sulur daun, demikian juga warna. Dari topeng ada yang matanya agak tipis, ada yang matanya melotot. Wayang topeng yang kita tadi latihan ini adalah bagian dari sebuah cerita wayang orang yang memakai topeng. Jadi ada lakonnya. Nah, lakon di wayang topeng itu sebenarnya ada 3. 1 Ramayana Mahabharata, cerita Panji, dan cerita Menak. Hari-hari ini yang berkembang di Malang atau Jawa Timur, baik di nasional, itu tentang cerita Panji. Jadi ada namanya Dewi Sekartaji dan Gunung Sari. Nah, ada orang dari seberang yang namanya Prabu Klono, ini merasa dalam impiannya ada bayangan seorang putri dari kerajaan Kediri. Maka dia datang ke Jawa untuk mencari putri tersebut. Nah, ada 1 topeng yang mukanya laki itu namanya Gunung Sari. Ada 1 muka yang putri itu namanya Dewi Sekartaji. Yang warna merah matanya melotot itu Prabu Klono Sewandono. Itu dari seberang. Demikian cerita-cerita dalam cerita Panji.
Mbak, kalau yang bikin beda nih antara tari topeng Malangan ini sama tari topeng yang lainnya di Indonesia tuh apa?
Berbeda karakter ini adalah di dalam gerak posisinya. Tetapi hampir keseluruhan topeng di Nusantara ini sama sebetulnya. Hanya pola sunggingan. Sunggingan itu adalah kembangan yang ada di kepala. Terus vis ya, ini yang agak membedakan. Terutama gerak. Nah, kalau Ananda ingin tahu betapa rumitnya membuat topeng, mari kita lihat kepada pengrajin topeng Malang.
Lagi ada di sini?
Ada.
Okay. So I was really amazed and my breath was taken away while I was watching the Topeng Malang dance, and these kind of cultural things needs to be cherished for the future generations. Yaudah, yuk Mbak ke sana.
Mari. Nah, ini pengrajin-pengrajin kita. Nah.
Wow.
Nih.
Halo. Nah, ini topengnya lagi mau bikin yang untuk apa nih, Pak?
Ini untuk topeng wanita, Kartaji.
Terus kalau bikin topeng kayak gini untuk satu topengnya berapa lama biasanya bikinnya?
3 sampai 5 hari.
3 sampai 5 hari untuk satu topeng aja?
Iya.
Nah, itulah persoalannya. Dan kalau kayunya ini kayu yang keras, maka dia akan lama. Dan harganya itu cukup mahal.
Emang ada perbedaan kayunya gitu?
Ada perbedaan kayu ya. Nah, rata-rata yang dipakai kayu pule, kayu nangka, ini kayu-kayu keras. Tetapi yang agak kasar-kasar sedikit dan mudah, ini kayu-kayu sengon.
Wow.
Dan maaf, kalau mereka membuat simbah-simbah dahulu, itu selalu di posisi yang demikian, ini tidak sekedar dicukit aja. Dia diajak dialog, maka dia akan dilihat semacam ini. Nah, dilihat dulu, ini dilihat dulu. Kalau orang Jawa bilang dikudang.
Itu biar kenapa?
Ada sesuatu yang kita harapkan energi kita itu ada pada topeng ini. Demikian juga di sini ada dupa. Bukan berarti dalam hal ini ada sesuatu yang mistis, tidak. Tetapi kayu mempunyai hama. Sehingga dibutuhkan hama ini untuk hilang, maka dia diberikan pengasapan. Sehingga tidak sampai serbuk kayu yang ada, hama itu masuk ke hidung. Demikian juga di pinggir topeng setelah kita pakai akan keringat kita nempel di topeng. Setelah 2 minggu, maka ini akan mengeluarkan jamur. Itulah gunanya asap. Dan kebetulan kita pakai dupa.
Mbak bisa jelasin nggak masing-masing topeng ini tuh artinya apa aja dan karakternya siapa aja?
Iya. Tadi yang semacam saya beritahukan karakter Jawa itu semacam ini. Nah, ini karakter Sabrang. Warnanya merah, matanya melotot. Ya, gerakannya dinamis, ini gerakannya halus yang putih. Nah, di sini perbedaan antara topeng Malang dan topeng-topeng di yang lain tempat ini dikasih karet dan digigit. Sedangkan di Malang ini tidak digigit tapi diikatkan di kepala. Dan posisinya itu adalah di dagu. Tidak masuk ke dalam.
Kenapa kayak gitu Mbah?
Iya.
Nggak masuk ke dalam.
Karena kalau masuk ke dalam, pandangan mata ini ke bawah.
Oke, iya.
Tetapi kalau kita di atas dagu, pandangan kita lurus ke depan. Kandungan-kandungan semacam ini penuh dengan kandungan-kandungan filosof.
Wow, this topeng Malangan dance really touched my heart. Like so much calculations was put into like arranging the dances and also making these masks. This dance has so much philosophical reasons behind it and it also has such a deep history. Okay, after this I'm going to invite you to look at another hidden gem of Malang City. This drink is seriously refreshing.
Sweet, fresh, and legendary es tawon. Es tawon has been around since 1955. It was founded by Mrs. Yamina and is now being continued by the second generation, Ibu Sri Utami. The name is relatively simple because in the past, when selling, many bees came to the place. After all, the sugar that was used is pure sugar, and then the name es tawon was born.
Halo Ibu.
Ya,
Wah, Ibu lagi bikin apa ini?
es kacang hijau.
Selain es kacang hijau, Ibu jualan apa lagi?
Es campur, caut, dawet, tape, sama kacang hijau.
Ya udah Bu, ini kayaknya seger banget nih dan aku lagi pengen yang seger-seger. Udah gitu aku belum pernah nyobain nih. Kacang hijau dijadiin es ya?
Ya.
Ya udah aku mau pesan satu ya, Bu.
Ya.
Makasih.
Ya.
Look at this. In front of me, I have a glass of happiness. Look how pretty the colors and the gradation are. I have the green beans on the bottom, and we have cendol, which is like it's a jelly thing. It's made out of rice flour. We have grass jelly, we have fermented cassava, and we have some ice and syrup. It just looks so fresh and it looks really, really refreshing. It's just like a glass of rainbow. I'm so excited to try it because I've never had es tawon before. Okay, I'm gonna mix it together. Okay, I'm gonna try the green beans. It's at the very bottom and I scooped it out because I really want to try this one. Wow, that's so fresh. Now I'm gonna try the grass jelly. The grass jelly is also really refreshing. It has that like sort of leafy taste, but in a good way. Now, I'm going to try the fermented cassava. If you haven't tried this before, it's really good. It has like a strong kick to it. This drink is seriously refreshing. And overall, my favorite thing here is the grass jelly and the green beans at the bottom because it gives it like a nice texture. And all of the textures combined, like with the grass jelly, the fermented cassava, and also the green beans, it gives it like a variety of textures and taste so you don't get bored while eating this ice. So refreshing. Okay, I think I'm sort of craving something a little bit heavier, but I don't know where to find that in Malang. Oh, maybe I should ask Ibu Sri. Ibu, aku udah selesai minum es tawonnya tadi, enak banget, seger banget. Nah Ibu, tapi aku lagi pengen makan yang agak berat gitu dan yang enak. Apa ya di daerah Malang ini?
Sate gebuk, tapi di kayu tangan.
Sate gebuk?
Iya.
Oh, itu terkenal tuh ya di sini ya?
Iya.
Oke deh kalau gitu, makasih banyak ya Ibu, enak banget esnya tadi.
Iya.
Mari Bu.
Iya.
Sate gebuk is a legendary food and the one and only in the world. Created in 1920, sate gebuk is a special satay with steak ingredients served in the form of satay. Sate gebuk is a hereditary heritage which is now managed by the third generation.
In front of me, I have the legendary sate gebuk. And why I call it legendary is because this is the only sate gebuk in all over the world. Why they call it sate gebuk is because they actually use the meat and use a method of smashing the meat before putting them into skewers. Can you see how big this is? It's huge for one satay. And also, they actually use premium meat for this satay. So it's basically like a steak put on a skewer. I'm so excited to try it because it smells so delicious. And we also have the rice and some soup. But first of all, I'm gonna try the satay. Wow. This satay is so smooth, and now I get it why they use premium meat, because it tastes so different. Like, it's just so rich, and you can really taste the smokiness and the meatness to it. It also has like a sweetness to it, so you have like a sugary taste. That's really good. They also have two kinds of satay. One of them is with fat, and the other one is just pure meat. Now I'm gonna try the one with the pure meat on it. Wow. Like the first bite you take from the satay, you really get that smokiness and the smoothness. Okay, now I'm gonna try the soup. Wow. It's so refreshing. It's a little bit peppery, but overall it's really good. And they have another thing that's very special here. This is called mendol, and what makes it different from tempeh is they use like the soybeans. They stopped the fermentation early and they added some seasonings in it. Then they put it into these like oval shapes, and that's what we got. I'm really excited to try this because I think it's so unique. So now I'm gonna have all of this with, of course, some rice. Now I'm gonna try the mendol.